Hello and welcome back to Kim Talks. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I am super thankful that you've chosen time to spend with us. So, Kim Talks is all about resilience here on Tuesdays, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Today, I invited a good friend of mine because she always inspires me. Lindsay is a sought after leadership coach and a people operations consultant who believes that every business, no matter how small, deserves three things: great leadership, an impactful people strategy, and culture that inspires. First and foremost, Lindsay is passionate about guiding female entrepreneurs in creating the work and life blend they long for, and a leadership brand that is authentic and grounded in their own values and purpose. Her powerful coaching style is leverages her extensive background coaching senior leaders and executives and empowering small business CEOs as they develop and embrace the personal leadership practice. Lindsay also utilizes her 15 years in strategic talent management to guide these incredible leaders in creating culture and developing the people strategy that is often missing from their business plans. Knowing when amazing teams are connected by purpose, programs, and processes that added value, they create amazing results. As an entrepreneur, working mom, and very super cool first time grandmother, Lindsay knows that the blend between work and life can be difficult to create. That's why she loves to coach and guide female business owners as they navigate their personal leadership journey. Her focus on people strategy, team management, engagement, and leadership development all help clients drive their business goals while creating an inspiring culture. So, everybody, let's please welcome the gorgeous, gorgeous Lindsay White. How are you doing today, Lindsay?
I am awesome, Kim. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. I got the pleasure of being on your show when you were just starting the Female Fridays or Fem Fridays. What female founders?
Female
It's all the
founder,
F.
female.
Female Founder Friday.
I know the alliteration. Female Founder Friday podcast. Yes, you were one of my first guests, Kim, and one of my favorite episodes. So I'm so glad that I can join you here.
Well, we're growing by leaps and bounds here at the Kim Talks podcast, and we're rounding our half year. And I was sitting here looking at my half year mark, going, who hasn't been here yet is Lindsay, and I got to have Lindsay on. So I know you, and I think you're awesome. But you know what? I'd like everybody to get to know you. Can you share who you are?
Yeah. So I am a working mom. I have four kids. I have one left at home here, a teenage son. Still one little bird left to gently shove out of the nest. And as you said in the intro, I am a grandma. Actually, just have a week old. My second grandson was just born last week. So I'm now a grandma of two, which is really, really exciting. And as we were saying before the show, if you could just skip over and go straight to the grandkids, that would be super. But that's not how it works. Yeah, and I should mention that I have a wonderfully supportive husband, and I'm a sister, I'm a bestie, I'm a auntie, I am all sorts of things, just like so many of us. And most importantly, I am an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, and you have worked corporate gigs, like
Yep.
you've and over the last 5 years or so, you have branched into building your own brand identity. And I mean, you still had to have a brand identity working with the corporate because you were consultant,
Yeah.
but this is like literally 100%,
Yeah.
swim or sink kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I know that you're very kind of well connected and engaged within the Calgary area, but
Yeah.
you have clients all over.
I do.
So you have clients all over. And do majority of those clients come like the ones that are not here in Calgary? Are those clients that you're getting like through LinkedIn referrals? Like where do the majority of your clients connect with you?
Yeah. I mean, I've been so lucky as I've built high voltage leadership that my network has been really powerful for me. So whether that network works for me here in the Calgary, in the local area, throughout Canada, but also into the US. And I work really hard to foster and grow that network. I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but I also am really, yeah, it's really important to me to be a part of a couple communities that are focused on female entrepreneurs. So, the Alberta Women Entrepreneur Group, I'm a big part of that. I joined a really wonderful group out of the US called The Advance, which I've really enjoyed connecting with some incredible women there. Some of them are Canadian based, some of them are more global. And through that, through the opportunity to network and grow through referrals, that's where I've gotten a lot of my clients. And yes, some of them have, come on the leadership coaching side. And then I also do some work with organizations on the people operations side, which is really exciting to be able to combine the two things.
Excellent. So let's go through what you do. So we've talked about where you're getting your clients, how you're attracting. So let's start breaking this down into what does high voltage leadership and Lindsay do?
Yeah. So at the core of what I do is leadership coaching. I am an ICF certified coach. I have two internationally recognized coaching designations. And that means that I can coach just about anybody on just about anything. But my real love is coaching leaders. That's what I did in the corporate experience that I have, and it's what I love to do now. And particularly, I focus on coaching female entrepreneurs and small business owners, particularly ones that are like you and I, Kim. They're busy working professional moms who own their own business or practice and find it really difficult to manage that balance between those two important roles, being a mom and being a CEO. So that's really at the core of everything I do, is supporting, growing, nurturing, and really enabling those women to create what I call an authentic leadership brand, really bringing forth their superpowers so that they can lead in their life and their business in a way that they feel really confident, that really aligns with their own values and ultimately the purpose and what they want to create in their world. And then I also leverage my extensive background in HR and talent management. So I love to get my hands dirty in a small female led business, understand what are the challenges and changes they're facing as a team, and then really bring all of my experience around what are the programs and processes that make a place a really beautiful workspace, really enabling people to bring their best self to work every day, because that's what's really powerful and ultimately what really grows a business.
And that's what we're seeing in today's world where people are. It's interesting because right now we're going through a second wave of resignations.
Yes, we are.
And people really just want more. I think after being locked up for a few years and having our entire world shift around us, be
Yeah,
it politically or personally, or
yeah.
anything along those lines, professionally, the a lot of people are just looking for the options. Let's tackle one. What's the most common concern you see when you enter a new client relationship?
Yeah. So I would say that the first one, and actually it underpins most of what the problem is in any small, medium, or large size business, is communication. What I see most commonly is that there is a breakdown in the communication. So whether they're not communicating enough. So, for example, you have a business owner that just sort of assumes everyone gets their vision instead of really telling that story. Or it's an organization that has, we have a set of values, we have a mission statement, but we really haven't gotten into that and made it personal for everyone who's working in the business. We really haven't told people how they get to bring that value to life. Or perhaps it is a breakdown in the actual conversations. So maybe it's a leader that's struggling to have difficult conversations and deliver some difficult feedback. Or perhaps it's employees or contractors that are struggling to really bring to life their ideas or innovations, and they feel like maybe the boss isn't listening. And so communication is always number one. In a really, really close second place is listening. Listening is a skill, and we don't actually come programmed with the ability to listen really well. So, helping leaders and their teams not only communicate, but also really listen, not just to respond, but to deeply understand and connect. Those two are right at the top of most of the to do lists when I get into a business. And then from there, we can talk about specific programs. So, for example, if it's recruitment, right? That is a real challenge right now for organizations to find the right talent.
Yeah.
So, a lot of my clients right now, we're working on recruitment branding and strategy. So, who are we as an employer? In the same way we have branding for our business to sell, we need branding for our business to recruit, right? And then talking about how we do that really effectively. What time does it take us to recruit someone, train them, and onboard them? And how we do that in the most effective way so that they can be contributing as quickly as possible. So that's a big issue right now for sure.
Let's dive into the very first one, communication.
Yeah.
Because especially because we have been living through computer screens for the last few years, I think a lot of people's interpersonal skills have gotten a little rusty.
Yeah, right.
So, what is a exercise that that company leaders, small business providers like that, if you're in a lead position, what is
Yeah.
an exercise or something you can do to work towards better communication?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. First and foremost, what I'm encouraging all of the business owners that I work with right now is to make sure that they're not leading by accident, but they're leading on purpose. So that is ensuring that you have time booked in calendars to connect with people, not about the to do list, not about deliverables, because we do that really well. We will set up a team meeting and we will go through the checklist and where's this project and what are we doing here and what's the timeline, but actually booking time to connect one on one with individuals and say to them, how are you? What is happening for you? How are you feeling? What can I do to support you? And then stepping into that listening space and just really listening to connect with that, really listening to absorb that. It sounds very simple, but it is something that we don't often think about is that we need to connect with the people, not just the deliverables or the outcomes.
And I think my assistant will attest to that because
Yes.
I show up for, we do a morning call every morning at 8 a.m.
Right.
She just moved from the city. So now it's like, oh, now we're doing it, i-
Yeah.
online. And I show up with my list and okay, I'm going to be really, I'm a list
Yeah.
person I'm going to do this. What the heck? You guys are going to see the mess. So this is what I do. I have
Yeah.
all these lists. This is literally, and this is just today. This is my
Right.
life just today. And folks, I'm only at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So she shows up. Poor gal. Like she does her best. She's an awesome kid. And I really enjoy working with her. But my husband has to remind me, say good morning, ask her how she's doing. And I'm going, yeah, but I got this and this and this and this. And we're going to cover these 8 topics and we're going to this
Yeah, and we get
because,
so focused on the
yep.
tasks, so focused so here's the phrase that I like to say to my clients, right? You manage tasks, you lead individuals, right?
Oh, that's
And
good.
so when we show up to lead, when we ask great open-ended coach-like questions, right? And when we solicit their feedback, tell me what's going well for you. Tell me what's difficult or tricky and how I can support or enable you. Those questions can be really important and create a whole new conversation. And in fact, bring out issues that won't live on your checklist. They can give you insights to that human and how they're operating and what they require to do their very best. Because she wants to do her best for you, Kim, right?
Yep.
But if she's not feeling her best, that's gonna be really difficult. So that's a really important, very small shift in the way you can show up as a leader in your business.
And do you think a lot of people who are in leadership positions within these companies, because everything is moving so fast at hyper speed, the change and the way to navigate these relationships, do you think that this is having a weight on on these leaders, and so they're getting blocked? I mean, what do you think is contributing to some of this disconnect for leaders?
Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. I think the pace and volume of change is absolutely impacting that. I also believe that we can allow that to be the excuse if we want it to be. And so, what we have to recognize is that in order for people to do a really fantastic job for us, we need to help them feel connected to what they are doing and why they are doing it. We all need a why, we all need a purpose. And that would be my second point is as leaders, it's our job to tell the story. It's our job to enroll people in that vision, in that passion that we have for our business. They don't come pre-programmed with that. So when we connect with them, when we listen to them, when we articulate the story and bring our passion to it, they can start to see themselves in what they're doing and why they're doing it. And it just fuels everybody's ability.
With the world having moved over the last few years into remote
Yes.
teams, and a lot of people will not be working together anymore. There goes the Monday morning donuts that you could bring in, and there goes the Thursday potluck. And these are connectivity things that we've relied on for 100 years.
Yep.
Okay. So, how are ways that you can show your team appreciation that is beyond a word
Yeah.
or a financial bonus? Because a lot
Yeah.
of teams right now, because the economic engine is getting back up and running, and
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are just trying to get to the next set of track.
Yeah.
And they're going to be fine once they get the momentum going. But we all know the first 100 yards of a train starting up is the hardest it's going to work. We've got to refuel this engine. So, what are ways that these leaders, these small business owners, CEOs can create that connectivity beyond sending a stale donut?
Because that's not going to work. So,
No.
Kim, I just want to say you're absolutely right. When we were all together in one physical space, we could lead by accident. We would bump into each other. We would meet at the water cooler. We would, hey, just pop into the office or around the don't, like all of those things. So we really didn't have to think about it. And now we have to be intentional. And what I offer to my leaders is that it is through the connection and through listening. If you want to reward people in a way that's meaningful for them, the easiest thing to do is ask. What would be meaningful for you as a reward for a job well done? And if you ask, they will generally tell you. I really or if you listen carefully, you'll know that they love a morning Starbucks, or you know that they love wine, or you know that they love an experience like whitewater rafting, or you know that they really love to go skiing on, like they will tell you if you listen, and they will tell you directly if you ask. Then you can find the places and spaces to offer them rewards in a way that's truly meaningful for them, right? And that's the part we forget. And it doesn't have to be monetary, it doesn't have to be a bonus. It can just be something very thoughtful. Maybe they've been working really hard, and so you order a meal kit to arrive at their door. Something like that. It's
Yeah.
simple, it's inexpensive. Even a handwritten card can be effective. Maybe you just do a funny video where you dance around and be a little silly and thank them with their favorite song. I don't know. Like there are 1,000 ways to solve those problems and come up with something that's really connected and really meaningful. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to be monetary. It just has to be meaningful.
Just has to be meaningful. And I think we saw during COVID a lot of these little great little gift boxes. And I know that Starbucks came up with where you could purchase a Starbucks card and you send out the code and everybody could go get a coffee on you. Um, when we're looking at I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if you did, where do you think all of this is heading? Because I've heard different opinions on people coming back into physical spaces. I've heard different opinions on
Yeah.
corporate survival.
Yeah.
Like there's now all this language around corporate survival. Will they even be able to survive this whole shift
Yeah.
in labor?
I think just like organizations, big and small, that survived through COVID, they were nimble. That's the word I would use. They were flexible. They could pivot, right? It's organizations and particularly leaders that were very quickly able to come out of the fight, flight, or freeze and move forward in an innovative way that survived the last 2.5 years. I would argue that it is the same way when you approach your talent. So I hear right now of organizations that are commanding people to come back to work. They are monitoring people's entry and exit from the building. Those organizations are going to significantly limit their ability to recruit top talent. And the squeeze may not come immediately, but it will come. And it doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 or if you're an organization of five. You are going to be in trouble because our workforce now has recognized that they have power and they have choice. And they will choose with their feet, just like our consumers do, just like our customers do. They choose
Yeah.
with their dollars. Our talented people are going to choose with their feet, and they are going to choose to work in other places where they feel like they have control and input over when and how they work. And if we focus on the results as opposed to the attendance, we will recruit and train better talent, and they will stay with us longer. We've been talking, I mean, I'm an HR professional. We've been talking in the HR and talent world for over a decade about the war on talent. The generations are smaller. The baby boomers are retiring, right? My parents are 75. They've been out of the workforce now for a while. They were at the leading edge. Those retirements continue to happen. People at 55 now are saying, I'm out. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'll retire early because I don't want the stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
We are at a place where there are fewer people in the workplace, and they will choose to work in locations where they feel that their values align, where they feel heard and respected, and ultimately where they feel like they belong and that the work they contribute to the organization is recognized. And they're going to choose to work in places where they can work flexibly. So organizations that don't recognize that, I do believe, Kim, are in for a
Yeah.
lot of trouble. They're going to be left with very mediocre teams, and they're going to be left wondering why they don't get the results that they want. Well, because you're not going to get the
Well,
best people. That's the
and
bottom.
I think a prime example of this is what we just saw this last week with Delta Airlines, and we're seeing it in all the airlines
Yeah.
and the uh, Toronto International Airport.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
The May long weekend. They not only couldn't get people's luggage to them for like 4 hours, they decided to do a fire drill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, is that not like somebody who's so disconnected with what's going on? Like an
Yeah.
organization that is not, I mean, it's going to be really fascinating to see because I think the airlines are a
Visible.
very
100%.
visible
Yeah.
example
Yeah.
of an aging industry
Yeah.
that
That
is
is,
has not really changed since the 50s,
yeah.
right? They really haven't. Their
No.
planes have changed, the technology has changed, the way you can check in and check out has changed, but the employee structure and I mean, do you know anybody who's an airline attendant? Like what they put them through is crazy. I
Yeah.
had no clue.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they only get paid for the time that they're in the air, but they're still sitting on a bench in a
Yeah.
airport in another city away from their family. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's
Organizations that, I mean, the airline industry is a perfect example. You put profit before people. And when
mhm,
you do that, and now again through COVID, we have all come to a realignment and a rediscovery of what we really value. That's what COVID did for us.
yeah,
We really recognized that life is fleeting, that stuff like that products don't matter, that our health can be compromised at a moment's notice. We have all realigned and reconnected to our values. And so now we have organizations that continue to put profits ahead of people. And I happen to believe that actually, when you put people first, they will help you generate profit. When they believe in the mission that you're on, when they feel like their values align, when they feel like they are respected and valued for the work they will do better work. They will bring the best they've got to your business every day. But if you put profit first and you denigrate the work they do and you devalue the contribution they make, they will not, they may stay, but they're not going to bring their best. And at worst, they're going to leave, and they're going to leave you in the dust. They're going to go
Yep.
work somewhere who does appreciate what they do. And the airlines are a perfect example of that. They have put profit back as number one. And it's tricky when when we're talking about quarterly shareholder value, we are at odds in our organizations. Now, in a small business,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have that concern, right?
Exactly. Small businesses, we're just trying to actually make sure everybody gets paid and we keep the lights on.
100%.
Um, you know, and it does lead me to a question of, will the consumers start turning away from major corporations because of the drive to drop a $30 million check on somebody's lap versus serving the people that work for them and create the product or service?
Well, we're seeing it with platforms like Glassdoor,
Yeah.
where people are ranking their experience as employees, as current employees and as former employees. We are seeing that, and people are using platforms like that to understand what's their experience. I mean, we look at things, we get to do, I was just on TripAdvisor the other day, right? We are in an age where consumers can give their feedback and employees can give their feedback, and those two things can meet in one space. And yes, I believe that consumers are going to choose not to purchase from organizations that don't treat their people well. You already see it with Amazon. There's lots of people I know refuse to buy anything from Amazon because they do not appreciate the fact that Jeff Bezos is a multi-billionaire who does not pay his people a living wage. Now,
And they make them drive like crazy. Oh, like some of the stories we've seen.
yeah,
I mean,
well,
that's like the worst job you can have. I mean, I think it's
yeah.
it's if what was his name? The guy who did the dirty jobs, Mike,
Oh,
whatever.
Mike Rowe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike Rowe. I'd love to see Mike Rowe do an Amazon delivery
Amazon.
trip. Like
Yeah,
those poor people are like doing it. And with inflation, people are doing anything and everything just to survive.
they
So
are. They are. But even in the tech sector, so Google commanded their teams to return to the office, and their head of AI, which is one of their biggest, most forward-looking teams, quit and went to a competitor. He said, I'm not coming back to the office. I don't need to be in that physical space to do my job well. Right?
yeah.
There is no good reason. And for many of us, there may not be, not to be there on a regular basis. And please, after 2 years of operating pretty independently at home, don't make us feel like we're back in grade school and we have to come and check our attendance, right? Like that is absolutely demoralizing to a workforce,
Yeah.
right? It is demoralizing. So I think organizations are in for a bit of a hard landing if they don't start to really listen and understand what their people are saying, big and small, right?
Yes, absolutely. Before we step into Lindsay's why of what she's doing, I'd like to ask everybody to take note of today's sponsor, queenofresilience.shop. Lots of goodies in there, from casual wear to great accessories, all about that mother hustle, getting things done, queen attire. Do check it out. So, get in there, shop around, and have a little fun. There's all sorts of things. There's something for everyone. So again, that's queenofresilience.shop. So Lindsay, let's dive into, what is your why?
Yeah. So I'll tell you my very personal purpose statement, and that is to be the high voltage extension cord that connects people to their own inner brilliance. And to me, that is all about helping every individual that I work with uncover what is special and unique and powerful about them, and particularly from that leadership standpoint. So I have worked with great leaders. I have worked with really toxic and terrible leaders. And to me, I know what an incredible difference having a great leader, not a perfect one, because nobody's perfect. What incredible difference having a great leader can mean to a team and to their entire life. Like the ripple effects for one individual and for an entire team and for a business is amazing. I have worked for a really toxic leader. I know how difficult, challenging, emotional, draining, exhausting it can be. And so my mission is to help every female entrepreneur and small business owner be an incredible, authentic, powerful leader.
And that's a big mission. Like that is a big mission, and it's a very um, commendable
Thank you.
mission.
Thank
And we do need more of that, especially with female leaders. When we look at statistics like 2021, less than 3% of traditional bank loans went to female founded startups. And if you're a visible minority, it's less than 1%. And that really, that is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing. It's if I say it often enough and loud enough, maybe somebody's going to listen. Maybe we can change this. Even if in my lifetime, even if we could just get to 10%, that
Yeah,
would be significant.
right,
So, we have, I know that there's grants and there's scholarships and everything, but why can't we go in and get a loan just like men?
right.
Right.
And
So,
when we really embrace our own authentic leadership, when we are truly feeling powerful and connected to what we value the most, then we have an advantage when it comes to asking for those loans, when it comes to getting that funding, when it comes to speaking to investors. Like
yeah.
leadership isn't just about leading your team, it's about leading from the inside out. And also not forgetting our most important role, which is as mothers, as partners, as sisters, as aunties, right?
Creating community. That's
Creating
that's what we're really good at. We're good at creating that community, and community is culture. It's the driving of the what makes things happen, right?
yes.
It's funny because I was looking at women inventors. So men built these big tall buildings and women designed the fire escape.
Yeah,
Men built the big giant, a woman invented the fire escape, a woman invented heating for the vehicle, a woman invented the refrigerator for the kitchen, the woman invented the lifeboat for ships. So
right,
it is very interesting when you go and look, because we don't see problems, we see solutions, because solutions need to be crafted so we can preserve community.
right. And we
And
create those solutions collaboratively. Like that's what we as women do differently is that we create community, we create spaces in collaboration. We create places where everyone can feel seen, heard, and respected. And that's why we create incredible businesses. But we also have to have the inner fortitude and resilience to be able to speak loudly and proudly about what we do well and these beautiful businesses that we've created and why we deserve the damn funding. Right?
not just funding, folks, the
Damn funding.
damn funding.
But when we are strong and centered in our own personal leadership, then we can step into that far more effectively, far more convincingly. And they might still say no, but by God, we're going to walk away knowing that we did our damnedest, right?
Absolutely. So when we talk about this, you just mentioned resilience. I always like to get a story of resilience from each of my guests.
Yeah.
This is the kind of the connectivity, the thread through all of my podcasts. And I know every woman has one. It can be a story from when they were, 15 years old. It can be a story from last week. Can you share with us a time that without resilience, you wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation right now?
Yeah, I mean, I love when we have this conversation, Kim, because it's such a powerful word. But I think the most recent uh, event for me that really tested my resilience was when I left the corporate workspace. So, as I said before, I worked for a really toxic leader. This individual was a gaslighter and a narcissist, took credit for all sorts of things that didn't belong to them. And really, I'm a people pleaser. I spent 2 years trying to make this human being like me, because that's who I am. And I finally, one day in the middle of a conversation with her where she was giving me shit about one more thing that didn't matter, I said to her, you know what? I don't fit here anymore. Like, you're right. I don't belong in this role. This is not for me, and I'm not doing this anymore. And I shut my laptop down and I walked away. And that was leaving a 10-year career. That was leaving a workplace that I bled for, right? This was leaving something that I had carefully crafted and structured. I had a plan and I could not take it for one more second. And I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where I was going to go. All I knew is that that was not a space where I could be in. And I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't done that. I wouldn't have gone and just absolutely dove in to the coaching
Yeah.
work that I do now. I would not have done that with such passion and fervor because I knew what a toxic leader could do. And I was drained. I was absolutely drained. I was completely exhausted, totally like the essence of burnout at that point. And I'd actually lost my ability to feel joy. It took me months to come back from that. But I wouldn't have jumped into that coaching space with such enthusiasm. And I certainly wouldn't be the powerful coach that I am right now today without the resilience to move through that really difficult time.
And I think that the story you just shared, you gave yourself permission to stand up and say no more.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing we could leave everybody with that listens to today's podcast is that give yourself, Lindsay and I are giving you permission. You give yourself permission. You have permission to be in a space and work in a space. We give a lot of our time and energy to how we generate revenue to what we do. So take that time, give yourself permission. If it's not working out, pivot. Nobody's going to hold it against you. We expect you to have 7 different careers in your lifespan now. We expect you to go back to school. Things are not what they were in the 50s unless you work for Delta Airlines. But I'm sorry, Delta.
Yeah.
Oh, I am probably going to get sued over this. I just feel so bad watching all those pilots picketing, and my heart goes out to them because I know how hard the job is. We have family and friends that are all pilots. This is not an easy job.
No.
Yes. So if your job is stuck in the 50s or the 70s or even the 2000s and it's not working for yourself, just know that everybody else out there is pivoting, and it's okay to say I've started a new career or I've got a side hustle I want to grow. These are totally cool, guys. Totally cool to do this.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, I always ask books. Give me a book, 1 or 2 books that you think everybody should read, because we've talked about communication, and we've talked about leadership, and we've talked about female entrepreneurs. I know you've got somewhere in there a great recommendation.
Yeah. I think my favorite book, and one I believe that every person should read, is The Gifts of Imperfection by Dr. Brene Brown, because we are all imperfect. And we need to give ourselves permission to fully embrace our imperfections and see them as the gifts that they actually are. So it's a brilliant book. It's not a hard read. She's a beautiful storyteller. She has a great message. So that is the book that I recommend to everybody to read. I think it is so important. The second book I would suggest is called Positive Intelligence, and it's by a man named Shirzad Chamine. And the positive intelligence philosophy that he's created and the program that I actually get to teach is so powerful in shifting from that negative mindset, that inner critic that's constantly telling you you're not enough, into a space where you can see the opportunities, you can see the inspiration, you can see the gift that can come from any challenge or difficulty. So those are my 2 favorite books to recommend.
Perfect. We're going to actually have those links in the blog associated with this, and in all of our write-ups and such. That Brene Brown is a personal favorite. I absolutely adore her, and I love the fact that she got a whole gig with HBO. So I'm dying to see her new show coming out. I love the fact that, again, a woman in her 50s, and she worked 30 years in her field of her passion, until she did a TEDx and she spoke up. And they say a closed mouth never gets fed. Well, as soon as she's out there and taking that big red dot, she got millions of people behind her message. And lucky for us, because had she not done that, she
Yeah.
may not be in the position she's in today. And
Yeah.
we wouldn't have the Dare to Lead. We wouldn't have all these
Yeah.
great assets to refer back to
Yeah.
help us move forward.
100%.
So, Lindsay, can you share with us where we can find you? I just put your website,
Yeah.
highvoltageleadership.ca. Where else
Yeah.
can we find you online?
Yeah. So I hang out a lot on LinkedIn. So you can come and find me there, Lindsay White. I'm also on Instagram, and my handle there is at High Volt Leadership. And of course, you can find me on Facebook as well.
Perfect. All right, Lindsay. I like to close my time out with a quote. I
Mm.
collect quotes and stories of resilience. That's what I'm on a mission. I'm collecting quotes from everybody. What is a quote or an affirmation that helps guide you even when the times are tough?
Yeah. I think one of my favorite quotes is Maya Angelou. And I mean, there's so many from her, but this is my personal favorite. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And when we remember that, when we really think about how we make people feel, that's when we can make an incredible difference in our world.
Truly profound. And that aligns with everything we've talked about.
Right? Yeah.
So, you know what, Lindsay? I am very grateful that you took this time. I know your time is precious also, and shared your insight and your energy and your positivity, and maybe a little crystal ball in there on how we can all navigate, build amazing teams, and
Yeah.
grow our own businesses. So until next time, Lindsay, I'm going to say goodbye for now. And to everybody out there, I'm Kim Hayden. This is Kim Talks. If you're feeling that your resiliency is lagging a little, if you need a little something, be sure to listen and lean into the resilient community. You can get a free gift, our monthly magazine, Resilient Women Magazine, where we recap a lot of these amazing speakers. I also have a great little recipe in there. We have some different profiles, all sorts of fun things for you, but it's totally free. You can go to resilientgift.com and get your magazine, monthly magazine, and access to everything else we have. Until next time, thank you for your time.